Welcome everyone to the 24th meeting of the year for the Park Cities Rotary Club. If everyone could stand real quick. I'd like everyone to just take a few minutes just to mingle with your table mates and guests, and then we'll get the show on the road. Yeah, it's working. It's all good. Yeah. Thanks.
Mark KASHAR was he's announcing. I don't know. I didn't think it made it on the.
It is.
Oh, she got it on the final one. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you knew.
Okay, everyone, if we all take a seat, if we could, and we will get our program going. And before we do our invocation, I'll have Rosemary DOMECKI come up and do the invocation. But I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that we lost ELAINE Allen on Sunday. She passed away, unfortunately, and I just want to make sure everyone keeps her in her thoughts and prayers and her family, Lord, because she was a wonderful person. So, Rosemary.
You know what? Lawn mower. Lawn tape.
There we go. It's all good. Yeah.
Service with a smile. Oh, good afternoon. It's so nice to be back here. This past Monday, it was, I think, the opening salvo for what is likely to be a very long and arduous election season. So I thought it would be a good moment to pray for our politicians, for our fellow citizens, and for ourselves. Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God, the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, yes. Night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out throughout all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. So for our politicians, our fellow citizens, and ourselves, let the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rosemary. That's great. And so glad to have you back. As one more note, with Elaine's passing, her service will be held at RESTLAND on the 27th, next Saturday, from 2 p.m. So obviously we'll have members there. Are there any concerns in the club at this time?
Been remiss in informing the club about an injury I had on Christmas Eve. I took a bad fall on some stairs at church and had the quad tendon on my right leg. I injured it, or actually he tore it. He had surgery on January 8th to repair the torn tendon and am now in the healing process that which could take 6 to 12 weeks. I will know more on rehab after my next doctor visit on January 29th. Needless to say, I'll be away from Rotary for a while and will miss your next new member orientation. Once I'm into rehab and a bit steadier on my feet, I'll be better able to judge how quickly I can return to more active participation. Please pass the word to Lori and others. Miss you all and hope you had a great holiday season. Carl.
Thank you very much. Any other concerns? And now time for Happy Bucks. And Rich will walk around. Any Happy Bucks? Anyone? There we go. Lee. Oh, they're fighting for it.
This is kind of similar to what Patsy just said, but it's about another member. But this is a Happy Bucks time from Jody Ray. I'm going to read his words here because he wanted all of y'all to know about it. I am celebrating a very successful heart valve repair surgery on January 2nd, discharged from the hospital on January 8th, and a great start on 2 to 3 months of rehab. There may be 1 or 2 bumps in the road ahead, but very minor day surgeries compared to what I am celebrating today. I look forward to rejoining the club sometime during his rehab. So Jody wanted you all to hear that because he's missed being here a lot and cares about this group a lot.
Thank you, Lee. Mark?
Well, I've got Happy Bucks. One, I have a visitor today that I'll introduce in a little bit, but the other one is, you know, the Niners will take care of Green Bay for everybody tomorrow, and I hope you'll enjoy watching them in the Super Bowl in a few weeks.
Shut up. Any others? Happy Bucks? Okay. Guest? Any guest? Mark, you're back up.
Dominic, if you'll stand. This is my friend Dominic Harwood. We met a couple of networking events, and he's been trying to get here, but he was able to make it today. He's the owner of Minuteman Press in East Dallas. So any of your business printing needs up to large format, he can take care of you. So please welcome Dominic.
Welcome. Any others? Okay. Mark KASHAR, our marketplace advertiser.
Thank you, President Jeff. Today's Marketplace Spotlight is proud Alabama alumni Kathy Wall. Okay, so Kathy Wall, your local State Farm agent, proudly serving Highland Park, University Park, and the surrounding Dallas area. In her 31 years as State Farm agent, Kathy has built an insurance agency team of 18 dedicated professionals. They've got more than 150 years of combined insurance experience to help customers with their service and, and claims. Kathy and her team offer a range of insurance and financial services, including auto, home, life, health, bank, annuities, and even pet insurance. As a small business owner herself, Kathy and her team work with many small business owners with needs for their businesses. They believe in the power of relationships, so give her a call to discuss the safety of your future. You are her priority. So be sure to call Kathy Wall on Lovers Lane. She cannot wait to serve you. So let's please thank Kathy for her support of the Hub and the Club. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. I had the funny thing, you mentioned Alabama. I had a call this morning with Alabama Power for a project I'm working on, and I asked them, are you missing Nick Saban? And they were all just diffusing that, there was a few Auburn fans on the call, but alumni. But one thing I learned about Nick Saban is that they said he's going to be very, very busy because he owns multiple Mercedes-Benz dealerships. I didn't think he's a coach, but they said he's really going to be focusing on that, so I didn't know he was into Mercedes-Benz's. But I'd like to call now Tom Swift to the podium. Is Tom here? Tom Swift. I didn't say slower. I could say that's not too difficult, but I won't say that.
Okay. So it's always a great day when we have a new member join the club. Come up here, Cody. I want everybody to see you. Cody and I met because of our involvement at the 4th of July parade. Cody's the right hand of Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne. His formal title is District Director and Campaign Manager. He has some Rotary experience. He participated for 5 years in the Grand Prairie Rotary, but because he was too young, he couldn't actually actively join at the time. But he pretty much knows our drill. You know the four-way test by memory? We're going to find out later. I want y'all to, it's always a great day when we have a new member join the club, and I want y'all to give a warm welcome to Cody VADEN.
Thank you. Photo. You got the party pick. Party pick. Yeah. Let's get a picture real quick. Where we going? In the middle. You got the package there, Miss? Okay. Welcome. Perfect. Thank you. Now, Jason. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. Jason Graves. Got 2 new members today.
I'm happy to introduce my friend Robin Lynn. Robin brings with her a wealth of experience in media and marketing, having made significant contributions to renowned outlets such as the Dallas Times-Herald, the Morning News, various radio stations, and Savvy Restaurant Hotel magazine. Her outstanding achievements include being a top performer in DFW and ranking 20th out of 700 worldwide in publishing. A proud Fort Worth native, Robin is a mother of 2, both residing in Dallas. She understands the importance of community bonds and is committed to making a positive impact. Outside her professional endeavors, Robin finds joy in activities such as swimming, yoga, and savoring delicious food. Her diverse interests reflect her vibrant personality and commitment to a well-balanced life. Currently serving as the owner and publisher of Greet University Park and Highport Digital, Robin brings a unique perspective and entrepreneurial spirit to our Rotary Club. Please join us in extending a warm welcome to Robin Lynn as she becomes an integral part of the Park City Rotary family.
Thanks, Jason. Robin, welcome aboard. And, you know, I was going to say, you've picked a good mentor to come in because he's so industrious. He's gotten so involved feet first and he's into it. But you're pretty industrious, too, so welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm
Let's get a
glad
picture
to
real
be
quick.
here. Oh, we're wearing the same jacket almost.
There you go. Cody does yoga, too, so
Oh, really? Okay. I'm not very good.
thank you. And now Kathleen KLAVITER.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to take a moment to give you an update on the best service project that we have, the Ronald McDonald House. Just in case you don't know, Ronald McDonald House provides free housing to families while their critically ill children are going through some care at Children's. And so how they provide food there is other groups like us provide meals, lunch, breakfast, dinner. We have been doing it for over 20 years. It's up to documented about 22 years so far. But if you know it past 2000, let me know. We prepare, serve, and clean up dinner once a month, third Monday night. Great place for new people to start. Okay, the story is, you know, it closed during the pandemic, and then it came back. And it came back, not as many groups supporting it. The restaurants who provided the entree food for us, we bring everything else, the salad, the vegetables, the bread, the chicken nuggets, whatever. The restaurants aren't supporting us, so we've been buying a lot of the entree food. So here's what's happened. At the same time, they've hired a chef, and they now have what's called a chef's program, and he puts together the entree, well, the whole meal. He does the whole menu. They bring all the food. We just have to pay for it. But then we still do the same thing. We prepare, you know, serve and clean up. So I had him ask for a grant, an RCPC grant, which was granted. And so now we have a grant funding it, and we're part of the chef's program. And now we are going to go in on the third Monday night of every month, and there will be menus on the kitchen counter for us. It's like real cooking. we made teriyaki chicken with rice in a rice steamer that I've never seen before. And we did glazed carrots and Brussels sprouts. So it was a lot of fun, wasn't it, guys? You're watching pictures of us having fun on a monthly basis through the past year. So if you want to join us, we're looking forward to it. Somebody you'll never find in one of those pictures is Fred Brown. He always used to pick up from all the restaurants and deliver all the food. So we were there at the kitchen when the entree came in. So I have to have a shout out for him. If you want to hear some of the stories of some of the patients, you have to ask Dear Heart Van Oliver. He keeps the stories of all the patients that we run into there, which some will break your heart and make you very grateful. And I want to shout out to Dean Chance, who's retiring from the committee after very many years, and it's been my right hand, so I really appreciate him. So, any questions? Come join the fun. You don't even have to think about it. It's just the third Monday of the month, 4 o'clock. Where do you want to be? Ronald McDonald House. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. And who here in the club's done Ronald McDonald House? Raise your hand if you could. Who's done Ronald McDonald House? Have you had fun doing it? I haven't done it enough, but if you've ever wanted to work in a kitchen at a restaurant, it is so much fun, and it's kind of nonstop. So I would highly recommend you do it. It's a great opportunity to get involved with the club. A few announcements. The 25th this month, PCR Connect. Location still to be determined. I'm happy. Oh, it's PF Chang's. Okay, great. The 26th, we have our planning meeting for the next year. So that's 27th. I'm sorry. That's coming up. Going to be in Jeff McNaughton's offices in North Dallas off Merritt Drive. The 26th, next week, we're meeting at the Park Cities Club because, again, I think we noted that this room has been unfortunately reserved for a different group. So remember to pay online. Get Mark KASHAR if you can do it. Pay online so we can have a good idea how many will be attending next week at the Park Cities Club. And then on the 29th of March, there's no meeting because of Easter Friday, Easter holidays. Now we can do the raffle drawing. So I think $492 is the amount that we have collected so far. So again, if you win, you get half the pot. Jeff Crilley, our program speaker today, is going to draw the number. And hopefully you have this number. And the winning number is, the last four numbers are 2779. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Ruth, this is getting an old trick for you. This is crazy. This is what, your third time now? I think it's your third.
Well, it's not very good if I haven't picked the
Third time?
It's one of them, Van.
She's legit.
He told me to pick the ace of spades.
Ace of spades, that's what she's looking for. 10 of diamonds. Here, this is yours. So next week it should be larger, and the old idea is the longer you wait, the better return. So keep playing. Your odds get better. Now I'd like to have Happy Franklin come up and present our program today.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Crilley is with us today. He is retired from TV news after 25 years in the business. He started the country's first all-journalist PR firm. During his career, he made hundreds of national news appearances, including on CNN, CNN Headline News, Fox News, the Discovery Channel, Good Morning America, and the CBS Early Show. He has been recognized by his peers with dozens of national and regional awards, including an Emmy, the National Headliners Award, the Edward R. Murrow Award, the Thurgood Marshall Award, and in 2004, he was named by the Texas Associated Press as the best TV reporter in the state. I'm really thrilled to introduce you to him. He's going to give us a fabulous presentation. He's also a former Rotarian. I'm really hoping that you all encourage him to sign up today. And so without any further ado, let's welcome Jeff Crilley.
So Happy and I have known each other since the early 2000s, and I was warned. They said, Jeff, you can speak as long as you want, but at 1 o'clock everybody gets up and leaves. so I'll try to keep my remarks short, and then we can have some time for some questions and answers. First of all, I am blessed to be here. I mean, one of my greatest joys is speaking. I wrote a book in 2002. Some of you have been kind enough to come up and say, yes, you spoke to our club. I've got your book. When I wrote this book, the book was about publicity. Here's how you get yourself on the news from a newsman's perspective. Here's what you should say to a reporter. Here's what you should never say to a reporter. Here's how you talk in sound bites. Here's how you handle a crisis. It was a tell-all book. So I go to my TV station and they say, okay, now Jeff, go ahead and print your little book. How are you planning to promote it? And I said, well, I'll give some speeches. They said, okay, as long as you know you cannot accept a speaker's fee. And when they said that, I was confused because I'm writing the book, I'm cashing little checks in my mind, right? Not big checks, but little checks. You know, I could get a couple $100 to give a speech. And they said, no, we don't want you speaking to Exxon. And then the next day, Greenpeace is protesting Exxon, and suddenly we have to worry about your integrity. So speak for free to promote your book. And what they unknowingly did is unleashed an entrepreneur on the world. In order to make any money selling a $10 book, I had to make it up in volume. So you're looking at a guy who gave 300 speeches a year for 6 straight years in addition to his TV job. Breakfast speech, lunch speech, go to work at Fox 4. Breakfast speech, lunch speech, go to work at Fox 4. I sold 70,000 copies of a $10 book. 70,000 copies. The average business book sells fewer than 2,000. I just, my numbers are very consistent. As long as I was speaking, I was selling. 11,000, 11,000, 11,000, 11,000, 11,000 books for 6 straight years. So I never intended to leave TV news. You guys remember the movie Anchorman with Will Ferrell, Ron Burgundy? It's very much like that, especially during the time that I was in TV news. My first job in TV news was in Lansing, Michigan. I was 19 years old in college. I got my first TV job. And then as you moved up in the ranks, in the 80s and 90s when everybody, you remember when people would go home and watch the 6 o'clock news? Anybody remember that? So I was there during the glory days. And because I was in Dallas for 15 years, it was not unusual for me to go into a restaurant and somebody would say, you're Jeff Crilley. But I was so busy speaking, they would say, you're Jeff Crilley, and I would wait to see if they would identify themselves as a viewer or somebody who had my book. And pretty soon it was pretty much equal. People would say, I have your book, you spoke to my club. I'm telling you this because one way to market without money is to do what I'm doing right now, speaking. And every Rotary club in this district, there's 60 of them, they all need 52 speakers a year. There's a lot of Rotary clubs for you to speak to. As I'm signing people's books, they're complaining about their PR firm. They're saying, I could buy your little $10 book, Jeff. 1, I'm not going to call Fox or CNN. 2, I've got this PR firm I'm paying all this money to, and they're not doing anything for me. I'm wasting my money. Can I hire you, Jeff Crilley? And I'd say, nope, I can't take your money. All right, well, if you ever get tired of TV news and you decide to start your own PR firm, I want to be your very first client. And when they were serious, I would grab their card, I'd put it in, behind my driver's license in my wallet, and I would hold on to it. I'd put it in a little envelope saying, in case of emergency, break glass. And at the ripe old age of 45, they weren't going to make me Clarice Tinsley. I was not going to get any higher than I was in local TV news. I was going to be a local TV news street reporter, which horrified me because I would have, a couple of nights ago, I would have been the guy standing on the overpass. Well, thanks, James Rose. It's snowing here too. It's icy here too, right? And how do you really need 9 people standing on overpasses telling you not to go outside? It got to be pretty silly. So I asked my wife's permission to quit, and I left a very comfortable TV news career to go into the great abyss of entrepreneurship. All right, it's the difference between a lion in the zoo and a lion in the wild. A lion in the zoo is very comfortable. They get a steak at 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. A lion in the wild has to learn how to hunt. So I had to learn how to hunt. So I went back to all of those people who said, I want to be your very first client, and I said, I'm for hire. So I put in my letter of resignation. It was the scariest thing that I ever did, and I walked away from TV news. I didn't even know what a PR firm charged. I had to call a friend. I said, hey, Suzanne, what do PR firms charge in Dallas? She said, it's all over the map. I'm a mom at home with 2 kids in the next room. I charge $2,000 a month. I said, what do the big boys charge? She says, I would be guessing. At that time, the Richards Group was the biggest PR firm in town, and they represented Chick-fil-A. She said, I would be guessing, but I bet they're billing Chick-fil-A $100,000 a month because they're buying commercials and they're taking 20% off of the top of every commercial they buy. So the range was $2,000 to $100,000. So I decided to come in at $3,000 a month. I went back to all of those people who said, I want to be your very first client. First year, I had 10 clients paying me $3,000 a month. So you can do the math. That's $360,000 a year in year 1 with no overhead. Second year, I had 20 clients paying me $3,000 a month. That's real money. That's $750,000. Suddenly I had to start hiring people. I hired my first employee who's still with me today, other than my kids. He's the only one who remembers when this was a virtual PR firm. Now I wake up, I don't know if this sounds big to you, but I've got 20 full-time employees. That's 401k plans. We cater lunch daily. The rent on my floor alone is $50,000. I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you, but I mean, I'm writing checks that I never dreamed I'd be writing as a television news reporter, but I can honestly tell you I've never been happier in my whole life. My daughter's my vice president, my son is head of business development, and I know I don't look old enough, I just turned 60. I've got a 13-year-old grandson who has announced that he wants to be the owner of the company one day. So I think I had been telling myself a story that I would retire in my mid-60s, but now I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't golf. What am I going to do? How about 3 generations working together side by side? So I've got new life, and I plan to work until I can't work anymore. So I'm gonna show you a clip of my very first client. His name is Clint David. He recently retired from a very successful law practice. It was called David Goodman and Madole, and they later sold to Fox Rothschild. He was my very first client. Let's go ahead and roll about 30 seconds of it.
Right now, there's a lot more questions than answers.
Clint David is a Dallas attorney.
Dallas attorney Clint David.
He's attorney Clint David.
Lawyer Clinton David says the landmark ruling could have a major impact in Dallas.
It completely changes how the Corps of Engineers, I believe, is going to do business in the future.
Employment attorney Clint David says that kind of corporate logic is a tough sell.
Why don't we pot it down but keep the video playing? So I'm going to tell you what I was doing. I am cursed with this addiction. I'm addicted to praise. Is anybody in the room a pleaser? So my love language is words of affirmation and praise. And if I'm addicted to praise, this is my drug dealer in the first year. Because every night at about 7:30, he would give me my narcotic. He'd call me up and he'd say, hey, I don't want to interrupt dinner, but dude, you're a rock star. You did it again. I'm the lead story on Channel 8 and Channel 11 again tonight. Man, you're killing it. You're killing it. And he'd hang up the phone, and the next morning I'd wake up and I'd say, how do I hear that again today? I can't get him on 8 and 11 2 nights in a row. That's crazy. Let me get him on Channel 4 and Channel 5 today. Why not? So I just watched the local news. I'd see which reporter was at the courthouse, which reporter was covering some kind of crime that needed a legal opinion, and then I'd call up the reporter. Hey, Sean Rabb, it's Jeff Crilley. Hey, what's going on, Krill? Hey, I'm going to be your new best friend. That's my buddy Sean Rabb from Channel 4. He says, how are you going to be my new best friend? Hey, I know you're covering the Don Hill trial. There's a gag order. You're at the federal courthouse. You cannot leave the federal courthouse during lunch. You'll never get a parking spot again. How about if I send a handsome attorney to you? Who do you got? Clint David. Oh, yeah, the guy with the good hair. We love Clint. Have him come. He does have really good hair, doesn't he? So he would go downtown and he'd interview with Sean, and the next thing you know, I introduced him to my friends at Fox, the network, and he got a regular gig every Tuesday and every Thursday. He was on the national news. They would send a town car to his office. They'd drive him downtown. He'd talk live to the nation on Fox, and then they'd drive him back to the office. So at the end of the first year, he says, "Jeff, I've got good news and bad news." And I was fairly confused. I was like, what are you talking about, bad news? I mean, you're on the news every night. I didn't say that to him, but I took a pause and I said, well, let's start with the good news first. He says, the good news, Jeff, is you got me 500 media placements this first year. 500. Should have been 700. I had a firm to run. I had to turn some down. I said, what's the bad news? He says, dude, I just don't need you anymore. They call me direct. Okay, so most people would have heard I lost $3,000 a month. Most people would have heard they got fired. All I heard was praise. Who gets fired for doing too good a job? And I thanked him. I said, Clint, you just gave me the highest compliment that any PR firm has ever been paid. They did too good a job and worked themselves out of a job. And I planted a flag in the sand that day, and I said, I know what I'm good at. I'm good at experts. The other PR firms can do ribbon cuttings and galas, and we can do all that stuff too, but the media never gets tired of experts, morning, noon, and night. If you listen to KRLD radio or WPA radio, what are they doing? Local attorney Joe Blow joins us. So a tip, this speech is called Marketing Without Money. If you want to be on the news, you actually have to pay attention. What are they talking about today? Because windows of opportunity open and then they close. They open and then they close. I can't tell you how many times when I was at Channel 4, a PR firm would call me with their client, but they called me 24 hours too late. And I'd say to them, man, I needed your client yesterday. Your client would have been on the lead story on the 10 o'clock news yesterday. You waited too long. So what happens to me, so like one of our clients is a civil attorney. So when the hotel explosion happened in Fort Worth, on day one, I wasn't hearing the word gas. I did not hear the word gas leak on day one. But on day two, as I'm listening to KRLD, they said, investigating a possible gas leak. So I call my client, and I say, you want to be on the news right now, because you know everybody and their mother is going to get sued. Everybody and their mother is going to get sued. And then I went back to my office and I sent out an email to 10 reporters and anchors that I know here in Dallas. And the subject line was hotel explosion follow-up. And I said, I know you've already seen this, that they're now suspecting there was some kind of gas leak. If you need a comment on this, here's my client, here's his cell phone. And he ended up doing 5 interviews that day. So what I'm saying to you is, if you give the media what the media is buying right when they're buying it, there's no telling to how much publicity you can get. Our typical client is averaging between 15 and 30 media placements per month. It sounds like a ridiculous number. The way I'm able to do it is I get up every morning at 5, and I send out a daily email that now goes out to 28,000 journalists all over North America into London, England, and I haven't missed a single day in 15 years. Not Christmas Day, not New Year's Day, for 15 years. That kind of consistency has made my little media tip sheet a voice in journalism. They just trust me. They say, well, the last 50 people we booked from Crilley's tip sheet were good, so why wouldn't this person be good? So I wanted to spend the first part of the talk talking about getting yourself on the news. Start local. If you've never done it before, just listen to KRLD or WBAP or KLIF or a talk news station and have the courage to call them up and say, hey, I just heard that story you're doing, and it was a great report, but you're missing something. If you're going to do a follow-up on that report, here's something your listeners need to know, and you're advancing the story for them. Does that make sense? Because many of these radio reporters, they have to file like 5 or 6 versions of the same story during the day. So they need experts like you. Okay, I'm going to transition. My daughter's my vice president. She's the apple of my eye. She's 33. She started with the company when she was 20. 5 years ago, she comes to me with this crazy idea. She says, Daddy, we need to get into podcasting. And I laughed at her. I said, podcasting? Who listens to podcasts? She says, my generation does, Dad. You got to trust me on this. All those kids on the Katy Trail listening to stuff, it's not music. You got to trust me. And it's funny how one moment in time changes the direction of a company. I didn't shut her down. I mean, I think of myself as KFC. I make chicken. I don't make Chinese food. I make chicken. And she came to me with Chinese food. And I could have said, nope, we don't make Chinese food. We make chicken here. But I gave her my card and I said, don't go nuts. And she went off and she spent about $2,000 on little GoPros and mics and boards and nothing fancy. This was her hobby. I'm like, here, you go ahead and do your little hobby. First month, we had 5 clients doing podcasts with us. Second month, we had 10 clients doing podcasts with us. Third month, we had 15 clients doing podcasts with us. Suddenly, the light went off. I was like, this podcast thing is a thing. Like, people really like this stuff. What if I spent some money? So in the past 5 years, I've spent $2 million on television studios, and now my studios are prettier than Channel 8 and Channel 5. I swear to God. Jeff's come over to visit. All right. So I'm gonna show you what we've done. We've got studios in Dallas, Fort Worth, Southlake, and now Austin, 2 blocks from the Capitol with an unobstructed view. But let's go ahead and roll the clip of our studios. We're at LBJ in the Tollway at Lincoln Center. Thank God I listened to my daughter. We are now producing 190 different television shows. Those aren't episodes. Those are 190 unique clients with different messages. And do you remember moments in your life where you recognize that the future has changed? For us, when you first recognized that the internet was a thing, when the iPhone came out and suddenly made the BlackBerry a dinosaur, when Netflix came out and changed the model with Blockbuster, when digital came out and changed Kodak. I'm telling you that this is the future. The future is not begging Channel 8, please give us 3 minutes on your morning show. The future is become the media. Why should we beg the media to tell our story? Can't we tell our own story? And the epiphany for me was the CBS Evening News right now, which has been around for generations. They reach about 800,000 people a night, the CBS Evening News. You can pull out your iPhone right now and put in teenage makeup tips into YouTube, and you will see a 13-year-old girl with 3 million followers showing you how to do eyebrows. How can a 13-year-old girl beat the CBS Evening News? It's because traditional media is Blockbuster, and podcasting and telling your own story is Netflix. And that's why I'm doubling and tripling down on this space. I want to show you one more little clip, and then I'd love to take your questions. So I do a daily Jeff Crilley show, and when I say daily, I mean three or four times a day. I did 4 shows yesterday. I did 4 shows. Why do you do shows? You do shows for different reasons. One, thought leadership. How many people in this room can say, come on my television show right now? Jeff Brady can. He's got a show. But very few people in this room can say, come on my television show. I'm able to say, come on my television show. It makes me a thought leader, and it also allows me to meet anybody I want to meet for the rest of my life. It's a business development tool. So if I ran around this room right now saying, hey, do you need a podcast? Do you need a marketing firm? I'd quickly be shown the door. You're soliciting, Jeff Crilley. We brought you in to speak. Why are you trying to sell the room? I'm able to say in any room that I go to, you need to come on my television show. They come in, they see all this stuff, the next thing you know, they become clients. So put that through your own filter. If you're looking to meet people and advance your own agenda, you need to at least come over and get a tour. One of my favorite interviews I ever did is with a guy named Nick Vujicic. You may not know that name, but he has no arms and no legs. And before I show this clip, I'm going to tell you his backstory. He was born with no arms and no legs. He was treated normally by his parents. He didn't even really realize he was different until he went to school and he started to get bullied. I'm told that by the time he's about 13 years old, he's laying in the bathtub and he wants to commit suicide. By the grace of God, he did not. And a little bit later, his mom shows him an article in a newspaper about some artist who has no arms and no legs and became a brilliant painter using their mouth. So he said to himself, okay, I could drink myself to death, I could waste away my life, or I can do something with this. He's now one of the highest paid motivational speakers on the planet, and he's become my friend, and I want to just show this little clip.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate.
That's
said
me
one
in
person here.
1990.
Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Ourselves falling into the trap of if only I was born into a different family, if only I had a different circumstance. But my guest today, Nick Vujicic. Did I do that right?
You did it perfectly, Jeff.
I've been practicing this because I've been so nervous to interview him. He's so inspirational. He's shared the stage with countless audiences. What's your largest audience to date?
800,000 people face to face.
800,000.
And we have been on TV in front of 1 billion people in China and 1 billion people outside.
He's been on Oprah, he's been on 60 Minutes, I mean, you name it, he's been on it. And now he's in my studio. Nick, tell us a little
And now we're friends.
We've got a
like,
romance
seriously? This is awesome. Because I now live in Dallas, y'all. So give me a fist bump, dude.
There we go.
Love you. Don't worry, I got my hand sanitizer on. We're good.
Honorary Texan, and now I guess official Texan.
Official
right?
honorary Texan. In
Right.
fact, when I met Rick Perry when he was governor, he gave me a plaque of honorary Texan. I said, does that mean I'd have to pay California taxes? And he said, unfortunately, yes, still. But June of last year, my wife and I and 4 children, we did move out now to the North Dallas area. So thank you for your welcome, Dallas, and God bless you.
Awesome. Okay, so before we get deep
Let's
into
go
an
ahead.
interview with Nick, I want to
pot
show
it down. If you're interested, it's a riveting interview. And in the interview, he talks about how he hijacked Oprah. Like nobody hijacks Oprah, but there's an interesting story. So go to YouTube, put in Jeff Crilley and Nick, and it'll pull up this video. It's a fascinating guy. I'm gonna wind up my comments on Nick, and then I'd like to take a question or two if we can. I know we're coming up on a hard stop. I learned a big lesson from Nick. So I felt better. Like when Nick was in the room, I felt God, and just being around him made me better. So I said, "Hey Nick, no charge, but I'd like to be your publicist for free." He says, "Wow, that would be awesome. I actually have an event coming up in a couple of weeks where I could use your help." And I said, "What's that?" And it's the National Religious Broadcasters Association was at the Gaylord Texan 2 years ago. Well, Nick didn't need a publicist, he needed a secretary, because I didn't have to promote him. I was just basically, okay, I can slot you in between 1 and 1:15, but then Newsmax needs him at 1:30. So all I was doing all day long was taking orders. Well, he had this, what I learned about Nick is when he loves people, he gets energized by people. I kept saying, "Do you want a break? Do you want to go to your room and just decompress?" And he says, "No, I love this. This is my jam." So all he did all day long was take selfies. He's about 15 yards away taking selfies with someone. I'm standing by myself, smiling like a fool. I promise, there was nobody within 15 yards of me, and I'm just smiling like a fool. And these 2 evangelists come up to me, and they say, "What's your deal?" I said, what do you mean, what's my deal? And they said, like, we see God on your face. And I said, that's probably the highest compliment you could ever pay anybody. Thank you. And they're like, yeah, we had a full day of appointments and we just canceled them all. God told us, be present, go around the convention hall and pray with people, and you're standing all alone. So like, where's your joy come from? And I said, well, I got a cool company. I get to work with my kids. I get to work with Nick here. And they said, well, tell us about your company. I said, well, we get people on Fox and CNN and the Wall Street Journal, and we make TV shows. And they said, TV shows? Like, what kind of TV shows? And I pulled out my phone and I showed them what I just showed you guys. And they're like, this may be a God thing because we're from Florida and we were looking at studios and how to do this, and like, where are your studios? I said, a few miles from here. They said, okay, we don't leave until Friday afternoon. Could we come by on Friday morning and tour the studios? So they came in, they toured the studios, and they end up coming back every month to knock out a bunch of shows. I'm telling you that because that was not me working the convention center trying to solicit business. That was just me living my best life, and they came to me. So if I can leave you some parting wisdom, we all want to prosper. We all have a mission on the planet. We all want to do something special. Don't try too hard. And sometimes just stand there and smile and just radiate God's joy. Yes? Do I have time for a quick question? Jeff called me this morning. Jeff called me this morning and said, hey, I may or may not be able to make it there, but I'm going to grill you from the back of the room.
That's right. That's right. I wouldn't miss this. I've got dirt. You want dirt on Crilley? I've got it. I've got it. See me after. So here's the deal. Here's the I could ask you about what's the future for washed-up TV news anchors, but we'll talk about that later. Talk about that later. Here's the question. So I create a podcast. I've got a mic and a Mac. I'm in my basement. I've got a podcast. Everybody has a podcast. So the challenge now becomes, how do I stand out? How do I rise above the media clutter, right? Because I'm not the only one who's got a brilliant idea. God granted, most podcasts are about sports. Here, they're mostly about the washed-up Dallas Cowboys, but how do you stand out once you create the media? Because there's so much more now, and you're right, the bar curve is flattened. There's no more distinction for a teenager who's viewing media between ABC News or CNN and a guy in his underwear talking about, the Mavericks.
Why did you point at him? No, Jeff, excellent question. There's two ways to do it. You can, what Jeff and I did for a whole lifetime was broadcasting. He was Channel 8, I was Channel 4. You can narrowcast, which is a very narrow niche. I'm discovering, and I don't know how many of you listen to podcasts, but do you remember the TV show and movie Friday Night Lights? There are entire podcasts devoted to dissecting episodes and interviewing former stars of Friday Night Lights. That's narrowcasting. That's narrowcasting. Or you can broadcast to the masses, but your guest has to be significant enough that they share it on their pages, and suddenly you grab their audience. So, like, we had a young lady in our studios yesterday who was she's a fashion icon. She has a store called Elizabeth W. Boutique. I don't know if you know her. Anyway, I said, if you did a show with us, one of the things I would suggest you do is interview a bunch of these influencers. So there's a bunch of these influencers, you've seen them, where they go out and they have 1 million followers and they're taking pictures and they're getting free lunches and dinners at restaurants. You can always tell a legitimate influencer from a fake influencer by looking at the engagement. It's not just number of followers, but how many times do they, when they post, do they get comments on the post? Do they get likes? Do they get shares? That's how you know a real one from a fake one. And then I said to this young lady, I said, Elizabeth, why don't you have a show in which you're interviewing a bunch of influencers who later grow your following to the point where not only YouTube will pay you money if you get over 10,000 subscribers, YouTube writes you a check just for the privilege of running an ad on your content. And you could have a show that reaches more people than traditional television. I hope that helps.
Does your book, or do you have a tip sheet to help? Like, we have a lot of charity projects. One in particular, I tried so hard up in Omaha, Nebraska, where I came from. I got on the news every year. It helped the shelter. It helped donations for the shelter. We do a foot care clinic for the homeless because it's their main mode of transportation, right? And it's just that one little piece of hope that every time they tie their shoelaces. Great taglines,
Yes.
great things to say about it, and very heartfelt stories. And we made the news every year. Down here, can't get anywhere. So how does someone like us, you know, get the attention we need to get some, because I would love to help the charity that we're at, Austin Street Clinic or wherever we have it next year.
So part of it, okay, and I spent 2 years in Omaha. I was at KMTV, Channel 3. Yeah, back in the old day. Yeah, like Tom Bavacqua. I mean, this is like old school. So yeah, Loretta Carroll. So there are reporters in Dallas who would care. Not every reporter cares, but reporters care. So Sean Rabb, who you saw in that last video, is an ordained minister. He's a pastor on the weekends. He cares. I've seen him do homeless stories and stories with soul. So you have to, this is a quick way to do it, and I know I'm getting the hook. If you put into Google right now, homeless, WFAA, homeless, KDFW, you're just looking for the reporters from these stations who have done the story already, and then you call them up. I'll make this really quick. You call them up. It's old school, right? You use the telephone. You call them up, and you say, these are the best words ever invented. Sean Rabb, I love your work. Every reporter's Achilles heel is they want to be loved. They want to feel like everybody watches their stories. Anyway, I know I'm getting a hook. I'll be around, and let's visit. I would love to have you on my show. That sounds like a great ministry. Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff, thank you so much. Appreciate that, and great insight. A book will be placed at McShane Elementary in your honor. You want to get a picture? Yeah, get a picture real quick. Picture.
One job I have today.
Thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. You know, what Jeff said about these podcasts and just the YouTube, it's amazing. Any interest you have, because I watch more YouTube than I watch television. It's by far. So next week, Mark Brzezinski will be speaking on the restaurant scene in Dallas. Pam Carvey is our chair of the day, the program, and we're having the meeting next week, as you know, at the Park Cities Club. So please come by, because he'll have a really interesting talk about just his involvement with Mikasina and Trinity Groves and the whole restaurant scene and what it's like to run a restaurant here in Dallas. Yeah, I heard it's really interesting because, you know, Dallas, you might not know this, but Dallas, I think, by population, we have more restaurants, believe it or not, in Dallas than any other major metro in the United States. It's really insane. Yeah, so it should be a really interesting talk. So please register for the lunch with Mark online. Four-way test, Cody, our new member. Come on. There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to lead the four-way test today. So if you recite with me of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the first? That's our fear all concern. Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Oh, ring the bell.
Thank you, Cody.
Until the thing goes off. Hold the red button until it